afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Politico Live's third annual Sustainable Future Summit. My name is Jan Chański, and I'm a senior policy editor at Politico, and I oversee our energy and climate, sustainability, and mobility coverage. I'll be your master of ceremonies for this two-day event, and we'll be using many of our reporters as moderators for the upcoming panels and interviews today and tomorrow, where we'll be talking about the future of sustainability in Europe and beyond the continent. Our summit comes just a couple of weeks after the end of the COP26 climate conference in Glasgow, an event that we covered with a very large team in Scotland. And in those 2 weeks of talks, it was clear that sustainability is really a crucial aspect of tackling climate change. Without rethinking how we produce, buy, use, reuse, and finance everything from washing machines to phones, soft drink bottles, and cars, it's going to be completely impossible to hit the EU's goals of slashing emissions by 55% by 2030 and to become climate neutral by mid-century. That puts sustainability front and center of the EU's climate efforts, and that's what we'll be tackling over the next couple of days. We'll be looking at everything from the circular economy, green technology, taxonomy and sustainable finance, carbon border taxes, and is the answer potentially nuclear power? For obvious reasons, we can't hold this summit fully in person, but we're really pleased that we'll be able to host at least a few of you here in Brussels, and there's many more taking part online. Before we begin, I'd like to take a moment to thank our leading partners, Public Power Corporation and Coca-Cola Europe, as well as our presenting partners, Cefic, Cisco, EDF, Google, Syngenta, and Whirlpool for making this event possible. I've also got a few housekeeping rules for our online attendees. You can ask questions and answer polls only through the Swapcard platform. You can find instructions on our event website. If you're already on the platform, you can chat with fellow attendees and perhaps strike up a friendship with a fellow sustainability wonk. You can also ask questions, and the box is to the right hand of the screen if you're on the desktop, and below the live stream if you're on the mobile app. I'll be keeping an eye on those questions, and I'll try to incorporate as many of them as possible in the interview and in the subsequent panel. The goal in all our events is to make everybody taking part feel like a participant and not just sort of as a passive audience member. Some panels will also have polls, as our upcoming panel will have, and you'll be able to give your opinions for that poll, and I'll talk about them at the end of the panel as well. For our guests joining us on site here in Brussels, this also applies to you. We've given you instructions on how to download and access Swapcard in the flyers that we've handed out. We want to make this event as interactive as possible, so don't hesitate to tweet about it on #PoliticoSustainability. Now I'd like to kick off this year's Sustainable Future Summit with a short interview with Virginijus Sinkevičius, the EU Commissioner for Environment, Oceans and Fisheries. He'll stay online with us to join our panel discussion, where we'll have 3 additional speakers taking part as well. First, I'd like to welcome Ilham Kadri, the Vice President of Cefic and Chief Executive Officer of Solvay, for some introductory remarks as a presenting partner of the summit. She'll be joining us online.
Thank you very much, Jan. Ladies and gentlemen, and dear Commissioner, it's a great honor to be with you today at the opening of the Sustainable Future Summit. Thank you, Politico, for this opportunity. And let me start by saying that I'm optimistic about our sustainable future. As a citizen of the world, as a chemist, as an industrial leader, as a mother, as the vice president of Cefic, I see science progressing and our mindset evolving. More doesn't always mean better, and better doesn't always mean better for all. We are many now to believe that we have no choice but to leave a safer, greener, and more equitable planet to the next generation and our kids. Despite what we read and hear, the chemical industry as a whole is seriously improving. We know that what took us here will not bring us there. We managed to cut, for example, by half our own emissions in less than 3 decades since the 90s in the EU 27. While our products and solutions have enabled other industries to reduce theirs. And we are not yet there, but it shows a clear shift and willpower to achieve Europe's 2050 sustainability ambitions. As a chemical industry, we support the EU's Green Deal, and the European chemical industry has the ambition to become climate neutral by 2050. I have often said it by now, chemistry is the mother of all industries. Without us, without bonding elements, there is no recycling, no circularity, no clean mobility, and frankly, no EU Green Deal. Our chemical solutions are invisible, but are present in 95% of manufactured goods, from your simple everyday items to your electric car, bike, healthcare devices, or wind turbines. And our polymers make product lighter, more performance, and long-lasting. The sector's innovations are core to the many solutions of the Green Deal and contribute to building tomorrow's economy, including creating new jobs for a sustainable economy. As you all know, upskilling and reskilling will be extremely crucial going forward. I always believed in the power of the A&D. We can be sustainable and competitive. We can be circular and profitable. And on the circular economy, more precisely, it's essential to leave behind the linear thinking, which consists of producing, consuming, and wasting, and move to new models by deploying circular solutions. This requires collaboration along the value chain that are more than just the one-to-one relationships we may have been used to, sometimes transactional only, like the ones we are used to having with our suppliers and customers. It needs a shift. One great example at Solvay in our new circular innovative approach is our consortium with Veolia and Renault on the recycling of electric batteries. And I'm proud to have the Ellen MacArthur Foundation supporting us and enabling key partnerships like the one we have. Veolia has the expertise to collect and debundle the materials mechanically. We have the expertise to extract and purify metals and transform them into high purity raw materials for new batteries. And with Renault, we have a supplier of batteries at end of life and obviously a customer for these new materials to inject them again in the value chain. The idea is simply to get together, invest together, de-risk project together, to go faster and be bolder and rely on each other's strengths and expertise. Now, a word on the ongoing EU chemical strategy and the safe and sustainable by design of the Commissioner. Today, when designing our products, we apply design methods such as an eco-design or circular designs to ensure from the start that what we create will have a positive impact in terms of CO2 emissions, toxicity, water usage, less water usage, and the recyclability or biodegradability. I believe this approach offers a strong potential to accelerate chemical innovations and to provide, more of sustainable growth. The Green Deal not only provides an opportunity to create a more sustainable and competitive economy, it can also be a strong driver for innovation and to keep Europe at par with other big economies like China and the United States of America by leading in new disruptive technologies. And to achieve Europe's ambition, we very much need a transition pathway for the industry. The EU Green Deal and the chemicals strategy could drive innovation in many areas. Think about clean mobility, semiconductor, digitalization, green hydrogen. The steps proposed require investments. We need to have a holistic approach on the transition of the European industry. And now we see stapled costs of different transitions initiated at the same time, and an impact on employment, social inclusion, and innovation. Briefly, we cannot do it alone. We cannot do it all at the same time. We need a realistic and feasible transition path based on policy coherence. Otherwise, if there is no sound business model, there will be no investments. And therefore, I welcome meetings like this one to exchange ideas and ensure dialogue among the key stakeholders to make this Green Deal happen. So let me conclude. 2 weeks ago at the COP26, the UN Secretary General urged us to listen, act, choose wisely, choose ambition, choose solidarity, choose to safeguard our future and save humanity. Let me say that I believe that the European chemical industry is on the right path to enable a bright, sustainable future for Europe and beyond. We share the same goals as the European Commission, and especially the one to look at sustainability in a holistic way through the planet, profit, and people lenses, and set the bar higher. Thank you very much, and be safe.
Thanks very much for those remarks. And now I'd like to welcome Environment Commissioner Virginijus Sinkevičius, who is going to join us online for a short chat before our panel discussion on the circular economy. Virginijus, thank you very much for agreeing to take part. We're meeting yet again virtually. I don't know if we're ever going to meet physically with these bizarre circumstances that we're in. We've only got 10 minutes, so let's jump right in. Can you walk us through what's going on with the Commission's sustainable product policy initiatives? There's the Circular Electronics Initiative, the Sustainable Products Initiative. I've heard some people say that they've been folded into one, some people that they're separate. There seem to be conflicting ideas as to timelines, to what they encompass. Can you sort of take me by the hand and walk me through what's actually going on with that?
Okay. So good afternoon, and yes, unfortunately we are meeting online, but I hope we're going to have a good conversation. As I see, the speakers are very strong, and we're definitely taking a topic which is going to be hot in town next year for sure. So the Sustainable Products Initiative at the moment is in preparation, and it should be adopted in first quarter in 2022, and it's going to be one. So this work is a priority for the Commission, as it's our flagship initiative implementing the European Green Deal and to more precise circular economy action plan. And the Sustainable Product Initiative will have at its core broadening of the scope of the Eco-Design Directive, because we see very clear pattern that everything what happens with products is usually 80% decided in design stage. So, allowing among other measures to ensure high sustainability of products beyond energy-related products. So broadening the Eco-Design Directive scope would allow us that. It also brings into the framework more extensive elements we associate with circular economy and sustainable production. For instance, in terms of product requirements, we're currently analyzing the feasibility of a broad range of measures, such as recycled content in products, durability, of course, repairability, reduction of carbon and environmental footprints, information requirements, which is again a big tool to be offered, digital product passport, where of course consumer would have a full information, and possibly also social aspects along the product supply chain, complementing due diligence requirements of the Sustainable Corporate Governance Initiative.
So would there be sort of metrics associated with all of these areas, or is it, how are you going to sort of ensure that this is actually sort of followed up?
So first of all, of course, we want to, the core will be the Eco-Design Directive. And through the Eco-Design Directive, through the broadening the scope of Eco-Design Directive, we want to broaden it in a way that it's not only addresses the energy efficiency, but it gives a additional information to consumers, including sustainability standards. And another thing is, of course, requirements for additional information to be provided as regards the manufacturing of goods, of what sort of, for example, chemicals we use, plastics and so on. So we would have a footprint picture, which would be accessible to consumers through the digital passport.
Now, this was supposed to be coming out around now, and now it's coming out next year. I know NGOs have been complaining that these delays are going to make it difficult for the EU to hit its climate targets. Is there a reason for the delay?
No, I wouldn't say so. I think actually the workflow is quite well advancing, and I think it's a very good term. First quarter of 2022. We need to do a proper stakeholder consultation, an impact assessment, and of course address those biggest issues. I think in the end of the day, it's also about the quality of the proposals that we land. If we want business to support it, if we want NGOs to back it, it also has to have quality in it. And I think most importantly, it has to be implementable in the ground, so we would really see the effects.
Are you able to give us an idea of what's actually going to be covered? Are you going to have sort of popular electronic devices like mobile phones, or are you going to have computers? What's going to be covered?
And ICT, we're still assessing the groups of products that's going to be included. So electronics and ICT is definitely going to be there. We're looking at construction, we're looking at packaging and so on. But of course, it will require assessment product by product, because we need to avoid one-size-fits-all approach. As again, we speak, we need to ensure that what we propose would be implementable in those areas that are relative to, and for example, today having discussion on electronics, even when we speak about durability, we cannot have a single time frame of what would be the service time for certain electronic devices, because it needs evaluation one by one, and then of course having based on average on average use, on additions, on R&D, which is there, we could estimate such things. So definitely we'll try to avoid one-size-fits-all approach and do it targeted on the product groups that could be quickly implementable.
If you've got such a wide range of things, from construction materials to electronics to a lot of other things, can you have a single initiative that covers that? I mean, will they have very disparate timelines and targets, that it'll essentially be a packet of quite separate areas, or are you going to try to encompass with a sort of a single effort?
So it's definitely not an easy proposal, even so that it's very much awaited. But I think what's very important, that we really have a positive business case here, and secondly that we're looking for a level playing field for environmental ambition, and this is something that we definitely agree with the stakeholders. Now, of course, for more concrete actions and steps, we need a more individual approach. But I think based on the common goals, on the common agreements, what we're trying to reach, we can have it under one umbrella.
I mentioned NGOs earlier, and earlier today, a group of NGOs sent the Commission and you as well a letter this morning calling on the EU to ensure that every new smartphone put on the market lasts for at least 10 years. Did you get that? And how does that sort of effort fold into your thinking?
It's the question, why not 14 and why not 15? So we definitely need to assess what's the average time, what are the components in that smartphone that prevents it from serving longer, can they be replaced? So I think, of course, it requires a careful impact assessment, and then I can assure you that our proposal will aim for an ambitious timeline. But to say 10 or 12, I think it's very early. I hear that there is a call for electronics, for household appliances, 10 years period. So for some, I think it's not ambitious enough. For the others, it's quite ambitious. So again, where is that middle ground? So we definitely need to approach product by product and not to fall into a trap of setting the timeline, which might not be really close to reality.
Thanks very much. And we're actually going to be talking about some of these concrete issues at our panel, which we will now shift to. We're going to be doing circular economy and tech, anti-consumerism, or a sustainable solution.